Go for it.
Okay, so Tony is contributing inventory, building, land, and then there's also an unsecured loan of $50,000 and a $100,000 mortgage. Victor is going to contribute cash of $200,000 and a delivery truck. Tony wants to maximize his control, and Victor wants to receive a controlling interest in the company.
Okay, so there's some relevant tax code sections that relate to an incorporation to actually make this a non-taxable event. The big one, obviously, is the 351, which then dictates that if you're transferring like property or like cash or anything like that, you have to actually get stock, solely stock, and then you've got to have like 80% control over the company immediately after the transfer. And this is all just to make it a completely non-taxable event for the shareholders. Now, the tax code sections that determine the basis are that section 358B1, which basically means that the basis that you have in the property contributed is the basis that you have within the stock itself. And 358D1 just kind of goes over what happens when a property has a liability attached to it. It basically says that it's treated as money received. So then that kind of, you have to adjust your basis according to that due to section 358A1, A2, and you have to actually decrease your basis in the stock because of the fact that you're technically now receiving money. And then of course, liabilities, this one kind of comes into play like what Joe was talking about, the unsecured loan, that section 357C1, because it states that liabilities that would actually go for a deduction. So it's technically like standalone liabilities like that unsecured loan. It's not attached to anything because it's unsecured. This also would be kind of also considered, accounts payable would be in this. And then also, one of the things that can come into play here is the section 362E2C, because the shareholder corporation can jointly elect to preserve a loss if there is a lost property, say the fair market value is less than the basis. They can both jointly elect to actually preserve that loss to the corporation, so the corporation takes as its basis the basis that is higher than the fair market value, and the shareholder just takes a $50,000 basis in the stock.
So Tony's going to have a 49% ownership percentage, and just as he discussed, under 351A, it's going to be a non-taxable event because it met all the requirements. His total basis in the stock is going to be $15,000, which comes from the inventory, which is the carryover basis of the $15,000 when he contributed. The building he's not going to have any basis in that because of the $100,000 mortgage split up into two is going to be taken out of the $50,000 basis in the building. And then because they're going to have a joint election under 362E2C, they're going to preserve the loss at the corporation level rather than the shareholder level. And because of this, the $50,000 basis will be taken from the $50,000 fair market value, leaving a $0 basis. And for Victor, he's going to own 51%. As you guys wanted to do, give him majority ownership. It's also going to be non-taxable for the same reasons under 351A. And his basis in the stock is simply the $200,000 cash contributed and the truck's basis of $60,000.
And this still meets the 351 because they are both part of the what is known as the control group. So it still meets that 8% requirement.
And for the corporation, it's going to be non-taxable to the corporation under 1032A, which states any issuance of corporation stock for money or property is a non-taxable event to the corporation. The basis in the property is going to be governed by 362A. It's simply the tax basis of property, and the corporation's hands is the transfers basis. And we showed out for you here the basis and all of the contributed properties: inventory 15,000, building 50,000, land 75,000 from Tony, and then from Victor the cash for 200,000, the truck for 60,000.
All right. So